Welcome back to the Mindful Movement community. Nicki Noftz, Pilates instructor and owner of Mindful Movement. I have a question regarding pain in the armpits and then in the shoulder blades. So I've recently just done a video on the ribs. You definitely want to go and check those out. Some of the exercises are going to be similar from that, but those exercises will help you as well. I'm going to tune into some of those same ones, but then add a couple different features and some different exercises that are going to help specifically in that shoulder area. As always, breathing, an important place, especially practicing your breath and breathing in between your shoulder blades can help the shoulders find more openness, find some release. So go check out the rib video to hear a little bit more about breathing, or I also have 2 videos on the Pilates breath in general that you can take a look at to give you a little bit more of an understanding of how you can really deeply breathe and find that space in between your shoulder blades. But let's start with some arm movements. The best one we're going to start with is a foam roller or a bolster. So the foam roller, which you can find for about 30 bucks, maybe even a little bit less depending on the density. You probably don't need as dense of a one as that I would have. You just need something that's going to be supporting for you. You can get these in a half foam roller, although for the purposes of what we're doing here, the half is probably not going to lift you up enough. If you have balance issues, you're probably not going to want to choose the foam roller exercise. You're probably going to want to do the bolster, which I'll show in a minute. So on the foam roller, we're going to sit. We'll roll ourselves down, making sure our spine is long and that we're comfortably on this, on it solid. We're going to inhale as we take our arms up and over, and exhale as we open. Inhale and exhale. Now you can go ahead and you can do fists. You don't have to do open hands like I am. You could even turn the arms if you wanted to, as opposed to doing where I had the palms down. You might want to even try doing them in both ways, because they are going to hit your shoulder in 2 different ways. You also can get some weights. Take the weights just to give you a little bit more strength in the shoulders, a little bit more openness. It'll be a very nice thing to kind of do. As you're doing this, what we want to make sure is we're doing a good circle within our shoulders. So what does that mean? Well, as we go out, we want to make sure we're not pulling in like this. We want to be reaching the arms out, spreading across the chest, spreading across the front of the arm here. Which you might feel a little bit into the front side of that armpit, which would not be a bad thing. Now, we don't want pain, but we might feel some stretch in there, which would be a good thing. Make sure you're tuning into whether it's a sharp pain or if it's just stretching muscles working. So as you reach out here and then we come up overhead, another place that we might get caught, or our shoulder might pop, or a tendon just might not work properly because we need to build some strength, we need some more flexibility, is that the shoulders might start to pull up here or pop and do all these kind of things. Again, we're not trying to let the shoulders come up. We're trying to work in the range of our shoulders. So if that means you have to shorten your circle, make sure that you come to a place that's working your shoulder in a comfortable way, but not overstraining it. And then you can start working to a bigger and bigger arm circle as you get more flexibility. Be aware though when you're shortening it that you're not just shortening it because you don't want to go into your tightness. I always tell people, make sure you go into your tightness or your weakness, because that's how you make changes to the body. That's where you really need to work, is where those places are that you want to avoid. You do want to avoid the popping, and that is true, so you do need to change that range of motion. But you do want to push it to that point where you are working more flexibility, more strength. So just don't avoid those tightnesses or those weaknesses in that area. If you don't have a foam roller, you can take a bolster, you can take some pillows. Either one is fine. And you can do the same thing. You roll down on it, and you do your circles. And the bolster can be very nice. It's a little bit softer on the back, gives you a little bit more support. So you may prefer just to have that. And then also because your pelvis will be down on this one, you're going to get just a little bit more of a stretch up into this chest, this openness. So it's not a bad variety to have. Either one is fine. It just kind of depends on A, do you have it in hand, and B, do you want to go and buy one of those, and are you going to use it? So those are some great ways to start doing some arm circles. Now, a stretch that you can do, you can take a yoga mat here. You can also take a towel. That would work just as fine. This is going to be a passive stretch. I very, very, very rarely give out passive stretches. I tend to be more of the more active stretches. And what I mean by that is passive stretches is where you're just kind of stretching and you just kind of hang there. You just kind of let it happen, the stretch, which we're going to do here. Active stretches would be what I would call what we just did with the arm circles. So you're going to really engage the muscles as you're moving through the stretch instead of just letting the stretch happen. So this one is going to be a passive stretch that we are going to do that's going to help with the shoulders. So what you want to do is you want to get a towel, a yoga mat, something that's soft enough but that you can put right about your shoulder blades. You're going to go ahead and roll on over this, right about your shoulder blades. And you're going to let your head come down. That alone just might feel good to you, just to have that openness and that stretch. What we're going to do then is take our arms over our head here, and we're just going to let that stretch. You don't have to do much to it. You just let it release, and you breathe deeply. Finding those deep breaths. And just letting the shoulders release. You might need to play with the size of what is underneath you, but you're just going to let those armpits and the shoulders stretch. Great passive stretch to kind of work. We also can do something that's going to be a little bit more active. As I said, I tend to be of the more active mindset, although every now and then some of those passive stretches are really great. And you can get a TheraBand. TheraBands, or these stretchy bands, are really just a few bucks. You can also do this with a towel. If you got a towel, you can roll the towel up. What you want to do is you want to find a good distance for your shoulders. Again, this is going to depend on your tightness. If you are tight in your shoulders, you might have to go further out. If you're a little bit more loose, you're going to come in a little bit more. What we're going to do is we're going to take our palms down. You can do this standing up or sitting, it doesn't matter. You're going to lift the arms overhead. Not lifting up the shoulders, but lifting the arms up overhead. We're going to pull out, press the palms away, and come back behind. And then you're going to lift up. Roll the palms back forward and come down. Now, if you're really tight and you can't make that motion happen right now, you're going to come up, turn out, press out, roll back in and come down. There's no use in trying to take those arms back if you're not there yet. But this here is going to just help you get there. When we come up here and we go to turn, we want to make sure that we're not just kind of pulling down. We want to make sure that we're lifting in our arms, we're keeping those shoulders down, and we're rotating in the joint. And what we're going to do is we're going to rotate and we're going to move from the back of the armpit, pressing out. So that should help stretch the back of the armpit. You're going to feel some engagement possibly in the back of your shoulders. Depends on your body. Everybody's going to feel it somewhat a little bit differently based on where your tightness and weakness is. But you're just going to kind of press it out. If you can then take it all the way back down and lifting back up and around. So TheraBand's a little bit easier to work with as opposed to the towel, but it doesn't mean you can't use a towel. It's just nice to have that little bit of give. You probably also can find some that have bands with handles on them. All you're looking for is the stretchy part. Kind of makes a little bit of a difference, which is kind of nice to have. Alright, so let's talk about a couple other exercises we can do that's going to help the shoulders. So we're going to do what's called spine stretch. For spine stretch, we're going to take our legs as wide as possible. Being that maybe we are dealing with just the shoulders, we want to make sure we're addressing other issues outside of just the armpit and the shoulders. We want to make sure we're addressing the spine in general so that we know that we're getting release all the way through. So spine stretch, we can put our arms out front. Again, if you're really tight and you can't come up here, don't go up. That's fine. Keep your arms more here and then keep working your way until your shoulders are up. Not to where they're lifting, but where they're lifted. Or where they're down and the fingertips are reaching to the ceiling. If you have to go a little bit further out than your shoulders, you can do that as well. You're going to inhale, exhale, start with your head, soften and bend your chest as you pull forward all the way down, or as far as you can, and then you're going to stack your spine back up. Now as we do this, regardless of what version you're at, you want to make sure that you're not lifting with your shoulders to make this action happen. We're not pulling forward to get further from the shoulders. We're pulling forward from our spine. So if I were to pull my shoulders back in and then make my spine take me further forward, I'm going to find a little bit more stretch happening, as opposed to if I just keep reaching those shoulders out. Another thing we want to avoid is many times as we're reaching those shoulders out, we're going to push back like this. We're not pushing back, we're tumbling forward and up. In addition to spine stretch, you can go ahead and do a saw. Saw is a twisting exercise, which is going to be great for the spine. We're going to take our arms out to the side, inhale as we twist, exhale as our back palm comes up to the ceiling, inhale up, exhale, twist. As we do this, tune into those shoulders. You want them, the hands shoulder width apart, shoulder height. We want the hands shoulder height and reaching out. So we're not trying to get jammed up in the shoulder, we're reaching out. As we twist, if this is tight on your shoulder, don't just twist it here. Bring it down and up. Make it easier on the shoulder. You're getting a great stretch here, just don't kind of torque it so that it's going to force your spine to go into a funky place. Work within your range. I promise you, if you work within your range, you will get further much faster. You're going to twist, reaching up. Now, many times people are going to try and bend like this. You want to keep trying to stretch. Keep opening that shoulder. Keep reaching the armpits out into the hands. And up, and other side. So we're getting a reach from the armpits. That's going to help us twist a little bit deeper. We're going to be lifting the back palm up, which is going to help strengthen our arms and our shoulders. Sometimes thinking about the back palm, though, will make us twist our wrist like this. We want to keep our wrist flat. What might be a better thought is to think about lifting from the upper arm bone, so that we're not just kind of doing this, but that we're truly going to lift from the upper arm bone. And you use that upper arm bone to kind of direct you in the position. So as I come over here to this side, and I pull this side, sorry. As I pull this, and I lift my upper arm bone, this is what starts to help me bend. So I use this back arm to help me bend and get more length out of my spine. And I come up and untwist. Next exercise we have is mermaid. We're going to take mermaid, legs are going to be up to the side. We're going to place the hand down, lift up and over, and other side. We're stretching all the way along the sides. Again, we want to be careful with the neck, so find a position for the neck, whether it's down, it's up, to find a place that feels comfortable. Many people, even when they look up, are going to still kind of look down. Lengthen your neck, get that chin lifted so you get some stretch in the length. Also, we don't want to roll in, we want to open. If we're opening though, be careful. Sometimes that means you're going to twist your hip back. You want your hips to still be pulling forward. We want the length to be coming all the way through this side, opening the armpit, the ribs, and the side waist. And then you want to make sure you do it on the other side as well. Last exercise, we're going to talk about double leg kick. Double leg kick, we're going to be on our belly. We're going to place our cheek on the mat. If, again, you have those tight shoulders, you're not going to choose to clasp your hands. If you don't, if your shoulders are pretty flexible, you can walk your hands up your back, clasping them. You're not interlacing your fingers, but rather you're placing the back of one hand into the palm, and then your thumb's just going to kind of grab the fingers. If all you're doing is looking like this when you do the exercise, you're better to do it with your hands down. So I'm going to show it in both versions. The first version, where you do clasp, walking your hands up the back, you're going to kick 1, 2, 3 times, straighten the legs, lift the arms up, take your gaze forward and down. And kick 1, 2, 3, lifting up and down. And if you are clasping your hands, you are going to want to reclasp them the other way at some point so that you're balanced and you're doing them both. Now, if that's too hard because you're a little bit tight in the shoulders, place the hands next to your body, and you're going to do the same thing. 1, 2, 3. Only now you're just going to lift the arms straight up and down. 1, 2, 3. Lifting up and down. What we want to make sure as we're doing this exercise, regardless of what way you have your hands, is A, when you're lifting up, that you're pressing those upper arm bones back up to the ceiling. Again, it's not just the wrist, but you're moving from the shoulders and opening the front of your chest. As you open that front of the chest, you want to breathe and pull forward, not crunching everything, but pulling and getting length as you lift this up. Last thing we want to make sure as we're doing this is that we're not just kind of collapsing our shoulders together. So you don't want just a collapse of the shoulders together. You want to keep them open and wide so you can think about as you're lifting up, whether they're clasped, whether here, you're not just rolling them out and open, but you're really reach the fingers back while you're lifting the arm bone up and down. So those are some great exercises that should start helping with some shoulders and armpits, shoulder blades and armpits, seeing if we can get a little bit stronger, a little bit more flexibility, especially if you're having pain in those areas. If you have any other questions or need more information regarding these specific exercises, please feel free to contact me because I do love to be inspired by you. I really love to share my knowledge with you and help you feel better. If you have any questions, my email address is Nicki, Nicki, @mindfulmovementllc.com. Look forward to seeing you soon.